What history doesn't tell you about the 4 worst U.S. generals in history? In the extensive narrative of American military history, certain individuals are revered for their courage and strategic acumen, while others are criticized for their significant failures. These generals, responsible for the welfare of their soldiers and the outcomes of pivotal conflicts, gained notoriety not for their triumphs, but for their errors, hubris, and misjudgments. This discussion focuses on 4 U.S. generals whose reputations are tainted by incompetence and flawed decision-making. Their decisions not only resulted in severe defeats on the battlefield, but also influenced the historical landscape in ways that continue to be felt today. We invite you to explore the lesser-known aspects of these infamous leaders. Before we proceed, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel to support our community. George McClellan, born on December 3, 1826, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1846, where he excelled academically, though his military performance was less remarkable. His early career included service in the Mexican-American War, providing him with crucial experience that would later inform his military strategies. With the onset of the Civil War in 1861, McClellan was appointed commander of the Army of the Potomac. Initially celebrated for his organizational skills and ability to train troops, his overly cautious demeanor soon became evident. McClellan's indecision ultimately characterized his leadership and resulted in missed chances that could have altered the course of the war. One of McClellan's most significant shortcomings occurred during the Maryland campaign in September 1862. Despite commanding a considerable numerical superiority with around 87,164 Union troops compared to General Robert E. Lee's estimated 38,000, he exhibited a reluctance to engage in battle. His misjudgment of the enemy's strength was exacerbated by an intense fear of failure, which rendered him indecisive at crucial junctures. Upon receiving a copy of Lee's battle plans, which contained detailed directives that could have facilitated a decisive victory, McClellan postponed his attack for several days. When he ultimately engaged at Antietam on September 17, 1862, he failed to capitalize on opportunities that could have led to a conclusive triumph. The battle concluded without a clear victor, resulting in substantial casualties for both sides. Approximately 12,401 Union soldiers and 10,318 Confederates were either killed or wounded. President Abraham Lincoln's growing frustration with McClellan's inaction culminated in his removal from command following Antietam, a pivotal moment that underscored how indecision can result in lost opportunities in warfare. Lincoln famously expressed his exasperation with McClellan's inability to take action, stating that if he was not going to utilize his army, he would prefer to borrow it for a time. McClellan's legacy is characterized by what might have been, as historians frequently debate whether a more assertive strategy could have significantly shortened the war. Instead, his hesitance left the Union Army untested and ill-prepared for subsequent confrontations. His narrative serves as a poignant reminder that effective leadership necessitates not only strategic acumen, but also decisiveness. After his dismissal, McClellan ran for the presidency against Lincoln in 1864 as the Democratic Party candidate, but suffered a decisive defeat. He subsequently engaged in various business endeavors before eventually returning to public service as the governor of New Jersey from 1878 to 1881. Despite his initial potential as a military leader, history tends to remember him more for his shortcomings than his achievements. George Armstrong Custer was born on December 5, 1839, in New Rumley, Ohio. He graduated at the bottom of his class from West Point in 1861, yet swiftly established a reputation during the Civil War as a bold cavalry officer recognized for his flamboyant demeanor and aggressive strategies. Custer's ascent through the military ranks was rapid, He attained the rank of brigadier general by the age of 23 and garnered acclaim for his valor in significant battles, including Gettysburg. Nevertheless, it was Custer's post-war endeavors that would ultimately lead to his notoriety. Following the conclusion of the Civil War, he was assigned to combat Native American tribes during the Great Sioux War of 1876. Custer's growing arrogance began to eclipse his military expertise. He frequently ignored directives from his superiors and operated autonomously. The peak of Custer's reckless ambition occurred during the Battle of Little Bighorn on June 25 to 26, 1876. Charged with confronting a substantial coalition of Lakota Sioux and Cheyenne warriors led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, Custer committed several grave errors that resulted in one of the most notable defeats in American military history. Disregarding intelligence assessments regarding the size and strength of the Native American forces, which were estimated to number between 2,000 and 3,000 warriors, Custer chose to split his forces into 3 battalions rather than await reinforcements. He was convinced he could secure a swift victory against what he misjudged as an inferior adversary. As Custer advanced with around 210 men toward what he anticipated would be an effortless triumph at Greasy Grass, Little Bighorn, he found himself encircled by thousands of well-organized Native American fighters ready for combat. The ensuing battle lasted only a few hours, resulting in the death of Custer and all his troops. The consequences of Little Bighorn transformed Custer from a celebrated figure into a representation of arrogance and folly in military leadership. His downfall became a rallying point for American expansionism and military retribution against native tribes. Additionally, it served as a cautionary lesson regarding the perils of overconfidence and inadequate strategic planning. Custer's narrative serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of bravado devoid of effective strategy, resulting in catastrophic consequences not only for individuals, but also for entire nations. His legacy is multifaceted. While he is frequently depicted as a tragic hero, overwhelmed by insurmountable challenges, numerous historians contend that his own reckless choices were the primary cause of his demise. In contemporary popular culture, Custer is often idealized as a quintessential American hero. Nevertheless, historical records portray a more intricate individual whose ambition ultimately led to his and his followers' destruction. Daniel Sickles was born on October 20th, 1819, into an affluent family in New York City. Initially pursuing a career in law, he soon shifted his focus to politics, becoming involved with Tammany Hall, a notorious political organization recognized for its corruption and patronage. Sickles' ascent in the political arena was fraught with scandal, characterized by his impulsive actions and contentious decisions long before he attained the rank of general. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, Sickles sought to redeem himself by enlisting in the Union Army despite lacking formal military training. His influential connections enabled him to obtain a commission as a brigadier general. However, it was during a crucial battle that Sickles would solidify his reputation, albeit negatively. At the Battle of Gettysburg in July 1863, Sickles commanded the Third Corps in one of the war's most critical confrontations. Initially instructed to maintain control of Cemetery Ridge, a vital high ground, Sickles made a hasty decision with severe repercussions. Disregarding orders, he advanced his troops into a vulnerable position at Peach Orchard without authorization. This reckless maneuver created significant vulnerabilities in the Union lines, which Confederate forces exploited with lethal effectiveness during subsequent assaults led by General Robert E. Lee's army. Sickles' corps endured substantial losses due to this ill-conceived action, with estimates indicating that approximately one-third of his men were either killed or wounded during the intense fighting over those 2 days. Despite resulting in significant losses for Union forces at Gettysburg, a battle ultimately secured by Union troops, Sickles exhibited extraordinary bravery when he sustained severe injuries from artillery fire, yet he declined evacuation until he was physically removed from the battlefield. Sickles' conduct ignited a vigorous debate regarding whether valor can compensate for inadequate leadership, a topic that continues to resonate in military discourse today. His contentious reputation is further complicated by his scandalous personal history. Prior to his rise as a general, Sickles infamously killed his wife's lover, Philip Barton Key, in a fit of jealousy, an act that drew national attention and led to an unprecedented legal defense based on the claim of temporary insanity. His trial marked one of the earliest high-profile cases in America to utilize temporary insanity as a defense strategy, establishing a legal precedent that would persist long after Sickles receded from public prominence following the war. Although Sickles continued his military service after Gettysburg, ultimately attaining the rank of Major General, his actions during this critical battle serve as a poignant reminder of how personal ambition can obscure judgment on vital issues impacting troop safety. Braxton Bragg was born on March 22, 1817, in North Carolina, to a wealthy family with a strong military heritage. His father had served as an officer during the Revolutionary War against British forces. Bragg attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, graduating 5th in his class of 1837, which consisted of 38 cadets. Bragg first made a name for himself during his participation in both battles of the Mexican-American War, subsequently advancing swiftly through the ranks of the Confederate Army after the secession that followed Lincoln's election victory over pro-slavery candidates in the southern states. Nevertheless, Bragg's approach to leadership as a commander created a rift among his troops. He was known for his irritable and rigid demeanor, which adversely affected the morale of soldiers who felt neglected and undervalued under his command during various campaigns in Tennessee in the early stages of the conflict between the North and South. In significant confrontations, such as Chickamauga, where Bragg secured a notable victory against Union forces led by General William Rosecrans, the Confederate Army ultimately faltered due to a lack of coordination among subordinate leaders. This was further exacerbated by an inability to build on earlier successes in the campaign, resulting in a retreat from Chattanooga shortly thereafter. Bragg eventually lost command of the situation entirely, leading to his dismissal due to insubordination towards higher authorities within the Confederate command structure. This period marked the beginning of a series of defeats that the Confederacy would face later in the war, culminating in their eventual downfall against Union forces. Bragg's contentious relationships with his subordinates went beyond mere dissatisfaction. There were instances where they openly sought his removal due to his abrasive leadership style and his unwillingness to heed advice or work collaboratively with other commanders. This situation fostered an environment of skepticism among the troops, who perceived a lack of support from their leader and grew increasingly disenchanted with his strategies. The narrative of Bragg serves as a warning that effective leadership necessitates not only tactical acumen, but also emotional intelligence and respect for one's soldiers, qualities that are vital for cultivating loyalty and sustaining morale within an army. Grasping these dynamics is essential for any leader aspiring to motivate their troops and achieve enduring success. The experiences of George McClellan, George Armstrong Custer, Daniel Sickles, and Braxton Bragg illustrate that even those in positions of significant authority can stumble under pressure. Their shortcomings underscore important lessons regarding leadership. The ability to make decisive choices is crucial. Hubris can lead to downfall. Personal controversies may eclipse professional achievements, and the quality of relationships within the command structure is critical for success. As we contemplate these historical figures, we derive meaningful insights into effective leadership, lessons that extend well beyond the battlefield and continue to shape our understanding of leadership today. Their legacies remind us that true leadership is evaluated not solely by the victories achieved, but by how one confronts challenges and supports those who follow them into conflict. This raises an intriguing question. What if these generals had opted for different courses of action? How might history have changed if they had acted with greater decisiveness or heeded the advice of their subordinates? Could this have resulted in shorter conflicts or reduced casualties? We encourage you to share your thoughts. Do you believe these generals merit their notorious reputations? What insights can contemporary leaders glean from their missteps? Please comment below with your perspectives or suggest other generals who should be part of this discussion. Your insights could enhance our understanding of leadership, both in historical and modern contexts. Thank you for watching. We invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more engaging historical content.